pickup gas is down so low, it's gonna cost them more to drill for it in Pocahontas County than it's worth to them.
No, that's not true. That's not true because they can store it. They can liquefy it and store it and they can ship it offshore. So it's
Right,
not-
but the thing of it is, due to the caves and the karst and the hardness of our rock in Pocahontas County, the cost effectiveness and the chance of them losing their steel and their bits drilling the first 1,000 feet, once they get below that, they pretty well got it made. But the cost of that compared to about $4 a cubic right now for the material, when it was up to like 13, is not worth the risk of losing.
But they can store it and sell it when it's up high. They will only
Well,
pay.
they can do that
they'll only
if it
pay the
goes back
mineral
up.
rights owner what they're getting right now. But when they
Right.
store it, they can sell it later.
But also, I also heard another situation where you was talking about getting out of the leases. I think at this point, if you are willing to get out of your lease and willing to pay the interest of what the gas company paid you for your lease, you can buy your mineral rights back.
Yeah.
Has anybody done that?
Nobody wants to do it,
On a neighbor.
that I run into, but it is an option.
On a neighbor-to-neighbor basis, consider this. If Pocahontas County had a population of 100,000 people, there would be 5,000 people here now. Just now, counting and knowing the population is 8,800, it's a 0.5%. 0.5% of 100,000 is 5,000. This is a massive turnout. I mean, granted, small population, but this is impressive. I salute you all.
Rich, do you have any questions?
Sorry. So far, I know most about what's happening in Morgantown because, I read the Gazette and I know kind of what's going on here in this county. And I'm not really aware of any other grassroots initiatives to do what we're, talking publicly here about the possibilities, the issues, one way or the other. Is this going on in 55 counties?
No. Lewisburg, I understand, enacted a ban. But that was limited to the city limits. I don't have any idea where.
Okay, I think that's sort of window dressing.
My guess is that Marcella's feeling is about the current Lewisburg, that ban. But Wellsburg did have a well nearby and it enacted a ban, which it was considering repealing using the governor's emergency regs as a rationale. And I don't know if it actually voted. So Wellsburg did it. And I know that Monroe County, at least, talked about it. Yeah, Martinsville enacted a ban, and I think it was repealed. Yeah.
The reason that I asked the question is if in fact Pocahontas County is in a position to move forward on this issue, is it going to be on the bleeding edge and basically be a spear catcher for the rest of the counties who want somebody to do something, but they don't want to do it themselves? And so that the precedents and the issues and the court battles and the cost to the county to defend an ordinance enacted in good faith, I guess that's the real. We have a population of 8,500 people, and yet I get this sense that we have an outsized role right now in trying to bring these issues to the fore and do something constructive and balanced, as Martin was saying.
Yes and no on that. The yes part is it's like in Morgantown. If you're familiar with Morgantown, it just sits right across the river from Westover, and Westover was basically as close to these two wells as Morgantown was, and just upwind from the wells are two Westover schools. And so Westover gave some thought to enacting that, because it was within, the wells were within 1 mile of Westover's city limits, so it could have enacted the ban as well. But Westover basically said, well, hell, why should we do anything? Because if Morgantown's already done it, we can just piggyback on them. So in that sense, Morgantown was the spear catcher, if you will, to use your phrase. But on the other hand, Pocahontas, I mean, to defend the ordinance in Pocahontas County, you have to identify, I think, why a ban is needed here. Because I don't think I could defend a ban in some other counties, because these wells can be done safely, and regulation is an easy alternative to a ban. But from what but I think Pocahontas County has some unique characteristics which might justify a total ban that other counties would not have. And so you wouldn't necessarily be pitching for other counties.
Would you be willing to lend your time and effort to that defense when it comes?
Pro bono?
The commission is retaining Mr. Bastrop to represent us and give us legal advice. Now,
We haven't taken action on it officially yet.
we're going to consider that in our executive session this morning.
Also, I'd like to speak to Mr. Miller's comments about what are other counties doing. I think other counties are doing kind of what maybe we were doing up until very recently. They're waiting to see what other counties are doing. I see our role, our opportunity, not as a chance to catch spears, but as a chance to lead and set the example by which other counties can be inspired to stand up for their desire, one way or the other. If they want to see drilling in their county on behalf of their constituents' will, then I think they need the local right to make the decisions that protect them as they best see fit. I think that other counties also, if they want to take a route like it seems we want to take towards preventing drilling, that they should be able to craft local law that says that. So I'm glad that we are having these conversations here, and I'm glad to catch whatever spirit we may. Quite frankly, we wouldn't be doing this without the courageous voices of many people speaking up saying, do something, do something. And I feel that there are many counties in the state on that precipice. And I think a little encouragement is needed. And so I hope we can continue to encourage.
People are leading, hopefully our leaders will follow us.
On the subject of putting it on the ballot or referendum here in the county, I still talk to people who have no idea of the scale of the impacts of the Marcellus drilling. The hundreds of trucks, the thousands of trucks that they started drilling. They don't drill one well, then they go gas field. And, you know, people who go to Wetzel County and see what it's like there, even people who were concerned ahead of time come back just to say, I had no idea. The trucks, the fumes, the noise are going to come, even if they do it right and safely and never contaminate any water. There's still all that to deal with. So I don't think people could vote from an informed place unless they were educated about those impacts. Number one. And number two, if we were going to have a referendum, then there could be money spent to advertise to sway people. And the gas industry has a hell of a lot more money than we do. That's one of the frightening things about what's going on in the state right now. You know, I don't have a TV, but I understand that the media is inundated with commercials touting natural gas from all the places we haven't even talked about, you know, today. You know, all the jobs, the fact that it can replace oil and save our independence from oil. And there's a number of these myths that we don't have time to discuss here today. But, you know, there's an argument out there with points that have nothing to do with these impacts that would completely change our lives, our community, our economy, our health, and everything. So, you know, that's how I feel about putting it on the ballot. Our commissioners have really tried to get themselves educated. And, you know, some of us are also trying to do that for the rest of the people in the county.
there has
Let
been,
me, excuse me, let me second what Beth said about people not really understanding what hydrofracturing is. I was at Durban Days, I'm sorry, I was at Dunmore Days last weekend, and I spoke with maybe a couple dozen people, and maybe 70% of the people I spoke with really didn't know that the gas drilling now is any different than it ever has been for the past 50 years. There's ignorance about this subject. Nobody really knows. That's one thing. The second thing I have to say about it is maybe an outright ban on hydrofracturing would get shot down, but there are many little ordinances that could be passed against the truck traffic, the noise, the water extraction, the pollution. I mean, we could go on and on, we could get really creative. We could decide how to kill them by a million little mosquito bites instead of just outright saying no hydrofracturing, because that's where the state legislation is going to come from. They're going to say, you can't pass an ordinance against, okay, we can't pass an ordinance against that. Let's just keep hammering at it. Go at it with a million little obnoxious ordinances that they have to deal with one at a time.
Do you think that would be a more effective strategy?
Well, there are some limits on doing some of those things. For example, limiting truck traffic you could not do outside municipalities. I don't think, because I think truck traffic is controlled by state statute. In my opinion, municipalities can control.
What about on county roads?
And I think each of those would have to be looked at separately. I mean, that would take some thought to what are the different kinds of things you could do. The water extraction, that might be a limitation on doing fracking in Pocahontas County.
They're doing that in Wetzel and Marshall County.
Well, that's true. They truck it in and then you have more truck traffic.
Roughly 1,500 trucks per well. If a truck can haul the water.